stay in this square here. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
I've been boffing probably since 8th grade when I first found out about it at PortCon, Maine. Boffing is a really obscure hobby where basically you get a bunch of people to make foam weaponry and make friends and then hit those friends with those foam sticks.
I have been boffing for 5 years thereabouts. My first boffing experience was at PortCon, where I had a piece of PVC and a pool noodle and some duct tape, and I started a club at USM that's still going strong today, and now I'm in charge of our region's full contact boffer, Dagger here. Boffing and LARPing are very, very like closely connected in their history. 3 different words that I hear a lot for boffing. There's boffing, which is onomatopoeia for the sound of foam weapons hitting each other. There's LARP style combat, and there's foam combat.
The role-playing is inspired from lots of Renaissance-y stuff. Some people are inspired by their own little subcultures of stuff. Like personally, I love like post-apocalyptic-y stuff. Dagger here gets really into Renaissance and like historical stuff. I know we've got some Japanese culture stuff. There's fantasy aspects. You know, there's dark elves and wood elves and orcs.
To basically dress up like you're in the Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or whatever, hang out with your friends on the weekend and like pretend to be on an adventure like Dungeons and Dragons, but in real life in costumes, pretending to be a character and fighting like this is a huge blast.
Hey, you're not done with me!
This is basically a lightest touch boffer club. Essentially what it is
Oh, it's my turn.
entry level to the world of boffing. So a lot of people have heard about LARP, and it's kind of like that without the role play. It's often described as something called LAC. Instead of live action role play, it's live action combat. This club was designed to sort of just take regular people off the street and be like, look, we're a thing you can do, and give strangers off the street weapons and have them see if they like it or not.
The USM group and the SMCC group started off as doing the exact same thing, but we were having some trouble like getting together. We were kind of making up rules as the game went on, and we eventually had like a spreadsheet with like 3 pages of rules that we just kind of thought up of. And we heard of another group in the area that was looking into national boffer sports, and we decided to do Dagger here, which is full contact boff. It's pretty much the same thing as here, except here any lightest touch counts, like boom, boom, anything like that. Whereas Dagger here, it has to be a full force hit, like boom. So and there's wrestling and like shield breaking and shield striking, so it's a bit more intense.
Half the people will say they wish we hit harder, and we can send them off to Dagger here, which is exactly that. It's lightest touch that goes a little bit harder. Or if they're like, I want to have armor or I want to cast spells, we'll send them off to a LARPing event where they can accomplish that.
When I first started, I learned how to fight with 2 swords, and then forgot everything to do with that. I then picked up a 2-handed sword that was about 4.5 feet long and fought with that until it broke. Then I used a really short sword, like this short, like 2 feet, and did a lot of wrestling for a whole year. And from that, I came to Sword and Shield, which I'm probably going to stay in forever because I think it's really, really fun.
There's tons of different boff games, and one of my favorites is Cornucopia. Basically, you put a bunch of weapons in the middle of the field, and then you rush to them, and whoever can get a weapon, you know.
My favorite game is Warlord. It's where game starts as a free-for-all, everybody's on their own team, which is their name, and then when they kill someone, they go on the team of the person who killed them. So if I kill like Sally, then Sally is now on Juniper's team, and eventually everybody's on the same team, so everybody wins.
Another really good game would be Grinder, which basically is you start it off as a free-for-all, and when you die, you stand at a designated point. When another person stands at that designated point, you high-five and you jump in as a team. And then for the rest of the game, it's just teams of 2, and it stops whenever everyone decides to do something else.
The biggest events that I go to are Ragnarok, of course, in Pennsylvania, which is Dagger Here's big national week-long camp-out festival fighting extraordinaire, and Clash of Kings in New York. The biggest thing that I want to see is to get more people involved, have more people learn the ropes and just be interested in the sport. But as far as an immediate goal, I want to see things like I'm seeing behind me right now, where people are learning strategy and people are learning like skill with swordplay through this medium, and then maybe they go on to a different martial art or a different learning system from that, and it's a bunch of just like a shared learning experience. It's like a ascension in skill level.
It started out as just a couple of friends hitting each other with foam sticks, and it's evolved into a little family. If it keeps getting bigger and bigger and steamrolling, I'd love to turn this into some sort of, not just a school club, but like an event, you know, that's put on every week for like the world.